this is it, the final episode for Season 1 of Echoes Down the Road, a podcast presented by the band West of House. As always, my name is Eric, and thanks for joining us as we close the book on our debut album, Crescendo of Silence, and look toward the future. Tommy and Lance will join me as we talk a little about what we've learned this season, and maybe even drop some hints on what's to come. Are you ready? Let's finish strong. This is the end, my Westie friends, the end of Echoes Down the Road, the end of Shut Up, Tommy, the end. Well, Westies, you heard it. This is it. The end. The final episode. We welcome you to episode 12 of Echoes Down the Road, the last episode in season 1. So it's bittersweet, isn't it? Isn't it, my friends? A little melancholy in the air.
It's like dark chocolate. It's bitter and sweet. Bittersweet. Lots of cocoa.
Well, dark chocolate's good for you.
Damn right.
So is melancholy, I would say. It's good for the soul.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, it seems like it's been 10 years and 3 days all at once.
It's true. It's been a year.
Has it been? Well, when did we start recording? We started recording in, I don't even know. We've been recording for the past few months. For you guys, it's been 12 weeks because we have released every single Monday and stuck to it. I'm proud of you guys. We did well.
Way to go, Westies.
But we hope you have enjoyed it. So this episode, if you followed us this far, you know we've been covering a song off Crescendo of Silence, our debut album, every week. And we ran out of songs last week. We got to Voyeuristic Symphony, which was the final track. And so you're probably thinking, well, what are you still doing here? So today, this episode is called Further West. And we're going to kind of recap where we've been. We're going to talk about a little what the band was doing while we were recording season 1 of Echoes Down the Road. And we may even give you a little peek into the West of House crystal ball into the future.
You know, before we jump into our flex capacitor machine here, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We haven't even introduced ourselves. We're just getting so sloppy in 12 episodes.
Well, I just figured everyone knew us by now.
Well, you know, what if this is their first time, riding the wagon?
Well, if we introduce ourselves, it's like it's real. It's like it's really over.
Like we're not in our garage at 11 p.m. at night talking to each other.
with
Does that
tears,
make us a garage
with
band?
tears streaming down our faces. Fine. Here we go. Hi, my name is Eric.
Hello, my name is Lance.
Greetings, this is Tommy.
Oh, and
See,
and
do
the
you
most
feel better,
Do you
Lance?
feel better?
I do feel a little better. For those who weren't
I
sure
don't know
who
why
we
you
were.
went British. I don't know why you felt the urge to speak the King's English.
I do.
The
I
Queen's
can.
English?
King, Queen.
We all know who runs
Oh my
this
gosh.
monarchy.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I'm going to start us off with what really matters, that everyone really waits for.
That's
Which
true.
is-
This
Hey,
is the most
Eric.
important part of the episode.
Eric, what you drinking over there, my friend?
Well, oh, that was a good one.
Oh,
He
that
went
was
for the
weak.
subtle opening with a bottle.
We have the bottle today. And so I was scouring Total Wine today, looking for something interesting. And I stumbled upon one of my favorite beers that only comes out in February. Now it is March now. It's March 2nd as of recording this. So they had some
Lover's
leftover.
Brew.
This is Hop Slam Ale by Bell's.
So
It
it
is
is
a-
a lover's brew. Okay.
Oh, there's so much love in this. It's a double IPA. It's brewed with a little bit of honey. These guys are from Michigan, and despite the horribleness of the school in that state, their beer is second to none. It is absolutely wonderful.
Is it hop diggity slamming good?
It is, I would say, hop diggity slamming good. What are you at, Lance?
That's good. I am drinking the leftovers of what my brother left with me this weekend. As we were, I was building his pedal board made of mahogany, and he left me 4 Sierra Nevada Dankful IPAs.
Is it dank?
It's a pretty mellow dank, I have to say. It's a 7.2 and quite smooth.
When I hear dank, I mean, ooh, wow, that's hoppy. Mine is glorious. When I hear dank, I want dank. Like the dank.
Well, part of my problem is I'm 2 months recovered from COVID, and I still don't have my sense of smell or taste.
So you could just drink PBR and it wouldn't matter.
The best judge of dank at this point.
It's true.
Is that why you said it was smooth?
Well,
because you can't taste a damn thing?
I have to say, I mean, there's a chance that's true, but I can tell. It's like the back of my tongue. I can actually tell if it's an IPA versus a banquet beer. It just does something to my mouth, even though I cannot taste it. I can feel that it's an IPA in the hops. Call me crazy, but I will swear by it.
Oh, I apologize for laughing at your
misfortune. We are all embarrassed right now.
But I mean, just the straight audacity of giving a beer review when you can't smell or taste anything.
Hey, Cobra Kai approved. The banquet beer is for real.
Tommy, is that it's dark. Is that prune juice? What do we have there tonight?
It's the Gold Peak Diet Tea as usual. I'm not young like you folks. I can't drink 1,000 calories right before to bed and not gain 5 pounds while I'm sleeping.
Then you're sleeping wrong. The best exercise happens in your sleep.
They do say that.
It's called night terrors.
From drinking beer, you can't smell or taste.
You just start shaking uncontrollably. That might be withdrawals. All right. Well, as you can tell, Westies, we're off the rails already.
Do we have a plan for this episode?
There is a plan. I have an outline in front of me, and we may even stick to it.
It's a gentle plan.
A gentle bend.
Like the beer Lance is drinking. Apparently, he wouldn't know.
Dankalicious.
So the past few weeks when Lance has been tasting beer, he actually hasn't.
I can feel it. That's why I need big hops.
Just at this point, just inject it. It's the same thing for you.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, let's look back into our magic West of House mirror and kind of talk about what we've enjoyed about doing this podcast. This is the first podcast that any of us have ever done. And
that's true.
It was kind of scary to jump into that format because it's so foreign to us. But now, just after 12 episodes, I mean, we still probably suck, but it's a lot of fun. And there's something to be said for this.
Just good at
for this sense of, it's okay. Let's take it back a little bit.
We still interrupt each other.
There's something to be said for this medium. It's damn enjoyable.
Yeah, and I'm not even a podcast person. I've never listened to one except for ours. So this is all real new to me. I have a lot of friends that are big time podcast people. So I'm like, really, I'd rather listen to music or something. But this has been fun, entertaining. Personally, I've learned a lot about the lyrics in the band that I've been in for a year. Like, oh, that's what those lyrics mean. And actually, the other night, I was going to sleep, and it hit me what the meaning of the title "Holy Ghosted" meant, and all the different ways that can be twisted to fit the lyrics of the song. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I went right to sleep. So,
why don't you share some of those with us? Let's do a little callback to the Holy Ghosted episode, because that was a fun one. It was heavy, but it was a fun episode.
That was heavy. Well, I'm not up on the whole ghosting thing or being whatever all those phrases that people have for
all the slang the kids use.
Yeah, I don't get those. I don't understand those. Maybe I'm fortunate that I haven't dealt with any of those. But not too long before we recorded, I did learn what ghosted meant. And then as I thought more about the episode after we recorded it and what the words meant and about how the church has ghosted people by not showing up for them. So that's the holy part of Holy Ghosted, but there's also a play on the word Holy Ghost, right? So that was it didn't click all this time. And even after we did the episode, it still didn't click. It wasn't until like literally a few nights ago that all that clicked. But, Erick's lyrics are like that. And I'm still actually trying to decipher kittens and chainsaws. So maybe we'll have a podcast about, pre West of House.
That would be fun to kind of go into the vaults. I mean, people are probably like, kittens and what? What are you talking? He's referring to an old God Complex song, Westies, but it's an interesting tune.
Yeah, race car driver, stock car driver, or something. It's a fun song, and so yeah, that was just the most recent lyric. I don't know, Shazam that I had, where it's like, oh wow, okay, now I get this more. I see what he's going for here.
That is really cool. That's really cool to hear, Tommy, that kind of clicked right there, because we didn't really get into what the title meant on that episode. And you're absolutely 100% right. Completely. I have nothing to add to that.
Wow, he's really nice tonight, isn't he?
I mean,
Tommy?
12 episodes, and that may be the deepest and smartest thing Tommy has said. I don't even think he's getting fired tonight.
No,
I might not even say it tonight, Tommy.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about. I might not even say it.
If you're going to be this happy with what I'm giving you tonight, I should record a bunch of drum tracks, because then everything will be good and we'll be ahead.
That literally would speak to his soul.
It's only midnight. My neighbors wouldn't care.
So what would you say, Tommy, was your favorite episode? And why?
Oh, man. Tough questions. That's not even on our outline.
I think that's cheating. I wasn't prepared for this.
Nobody mentioned this. I'm calling an audible right now.
I like the episodes that we had our guests on. The episode with Paul was really good. And although Bobby was a recurring guest, the first episode with Bobby was also really good.
That was Turn of Phrase, right?
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't on that one. He was on Turn of Phrase, Fallen, and Voyeuristic.
Yeah, those guys brought a lot to the table. And
Agreed.
It was nice to hear their view of what we were doing, because they were both involved in a different way, not from a creative standpoint, but kind of a let's get what they're trying to do and what they're trying to present out there in a way that is what they want, right? Because if we were to let the people listen to the tracks that we send Bobby, they don't sound anything like they hear when they're done. And so he has to try to figure out, not only do I have to figure out what you want when I'm doing my tracks, he has to figure out what we want as far as production goes on the entire song. So it was fun to hear him kind of talk about that. And I think maybe it was the Fallen episode when we were talking about the different places that we sent the tracks out to be mixed. And then I actually wanted to ask him, but we didn't get to it, is what he thought of the other mixes. And he's too nice to say anything.
Oh,
negative,
yeah. Professional courtesy, I think, prohibits him
right
from making those kinds of statements.
But I was thinking about that when we were doing that episode. It's like, I wonder what he thinks of these now that he's heard them. So that was a neat episode, the Fallen episode. And then, Paul with Yesterday's.
Very cool. How about you, Lance? You got a favorite?
Well, I just chuckled that Tommy said one of his favorites, if not his favorite, was Turn of Phrase with Bobby, because Tommy wasn't on that one. So that made me chuckle. No, I agree. I mean, I've been mixing the content on most of these, and I get kind of intimately entwined in all of these, and they all kind of blend in. But I would agree. Bobby added a lot of color. I think right now Fallen might have been one of my favorites, kind of listening to that beginning of where we all started and where Bobby kind of was introduced to us and that whole process. But it was really cool to hear Paul. Was he in both Yesterday's and Shadows?
No, just Moving Shadows.
Just Shadows, yeah. Yeah, so that was pretty neat too to kind of hear him join. Haven't seen or heard him in years. But yeah, I would probably say Fallen and Turn a Phrase, just because Bobby did add a lot, and it was kind of fun to hear somebody else in the band besides listening to ourselves.
He did a really great job. I mean, and Tommy hit on it. It was having that outsider, not that he's an outsider to the band, but just that outside viewpoint who sees things a little different than the guys, the five of us who are just in the trenches. And he's funny, he's intelligent, and everything he added was of value. And really, even we learned some things listening to him, which is really fun. Because someone else working with your art the way he does, and we give him this lump of clay, and he turns it into something beautiful. Like Tommy said, it looks really different when we give it to him. But hearing his perspective of that is really cool. I know for me, I mean, I love those episodes too. I really enjoyed those few episodes where we took a hard left turn when we were talking about lyrics, and it got really deep and really real, and we went off the outline, and there were, soapboxes and speeches, and that part was really fun to me because none of that was written down. Right. It was all off the cuff, and just hearing everyone's experiences, like the Carry Your Dreams episode, how that turned into a really great discussion about parenthood, how Holy Ghosted brought up all the stuff about George Floyd. We had a wonderful discussion there. Echoes Down the Road. I mean, that went on. I just listened to that today. And that whole... Are
you the one that actually listened today? That was you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one stream.
That was the one stream.
We had 15 today. Thank you. I looked at the stats.
That makes my heart just smile.
15, which not too bad for a podcast with no promotion and a band that hardly anyone's ever heard of. But that whole speech at the end with all of us, and then where it went, there was so much meat in that, and so it was so real and visceral, and just from a very vulnerable and honest place. And that's, I mean, we transcend something, it's not entertainment anymore like some podcasts are, and it just becomes an experience. And even listening, I felt a part of it, just like listening as an outsider would. And I was amazed that, because I know all of us, and we keep a lot of stuff, inside for, most of our existence. But on the podcast, it's like you flip a switch and we all get a lot more honest, which is weird because now we're doing it for potentially, tens, hundreds, thousands. I don't know how many people will listen to people. It. Who knows? But still, we're throwing that out there. This is not a private forum.
Yep.
This is a public forum. And I love that no one held back. And everyone comes from different places, and no one held back. And those episodes where we tore down our walls and dropped any facades we may have and just spoke from the heart, those were my favorite.
Yeah, just having conversations with each other. And you're right. I almost want to change my answer because, gosh, what the one...
Carry Your Dreams?
Yeah. Going back and talking about our families and our daughters, and at least, I mean, the three of us who actually have kids, we have a couple buns in the oven with the other ones, but...
That's 6 daughters between us.
Yeah. Like, that was super cool to listen to all three of us to kind of share that perspective as a dad and with our daughters, and that was a pretty special episode personally. So I kind of want to change my answer if that's possible, but...
Well, I mean, it's our podcast, so you can really do anything you damn well please, can't you?
Do whatever we want.
There's no rules, man.
So letting all of you Westies know, Eric kind of threw out a past, the present, and the future is kind of where we're headed with this podcast tonight, and we're currently in the past. And one thing I think for me that has been a cool, Tommy kind of talked about this never being a part of a podcast, and I only started listening to a couple before we started this idea that Eric threw out there, and I was all in because I just had fallen in love with a golf podcast, No Laying Up. You guys are studs if you ever listen to this, but I learned a lot just listening to them and what quality content looks like, sounds like, and the thoughtfulness that goes into it. And I think we, in this process, we learned a lot. And one thing that we kind of discovered a few episodes in was adding little overlays and clips of some of the stems or the little piece recordings that we all had. And that was super cool. And I think a lot of people responded to that. And even us, it maybe sounded like a good idea. And we're like, yeah, let's try that. But man, listening to it once we're done with our production and editing, it changed everything. And so those are things that we've added. And I just enjoy listening to us and listening to each of us play our parts and kind of bouncing those ideas off each other. That's been a really cool experience for me to think about what is a quality experience, a listening experience for our fans out there, all 15 of them. So that was cool for me. I really enjoyed that part of learning the craft, let alone learning GarageBand and what editing is. And I have to thank Tommy for giving me a quick crash course. And I already have plans on improving my equipment in the future.
Yeah, that was fun. It was cool. We started getting feedback, right after the first episode aired. And after the yesterday's episode, I got a lot of feedback from some friends and some Westies out there, maybe future friends there, that said the clips are awesome. We love, they didn't say stems because that's more a musician term, but they said the clips that you put in were so interesting because, you don't normally get to hear just like a singular guitar line or a keyboard like we used in the yesterday's episode that you hadn't heard. And when they said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of cool.
Makes sense.
You guys have kind of noticed in almost every episode, we started throwing the kitchen sink in there, like different harmonies, or Tommy will do an isolated drum fill. But, what it made me think of was I used to watch all those classic albums, documentaries on VH1. Right. And my favorite one was the one on the Joshua Tree. And
that's not shocking.
I think it's The Edge. The Edge is sitting, at the mixing console, and he's just pushing up faders for all these different individual tracks. And he's like, this is my guitar where I just played one note, and here's Bono, he did this. Oh, but we didn't use that. And it's so interesting as a musician and even a non-musician, because I had non-musicians say that was really cool, to just hear all those parts, because normally you're used to hearing the finished product.
Totally.
And when you hear those little things like, here's Kevin's organ line, and, by itself, it's cool, but just knowing how all those pieces fit to make a song is, even as a musician, I still get excited about that. Like, it's cool. You have all these pieces and you put together and you're like, would this actually paint something really awesome?
It does. And what I think what we probably didn't realize, it just kind of dawned on me. I don't know if we would have thought of it that way if it wasn't for the fact that we all recorded completely separately and isolated from each other. That's how we even heard these, right? Like, you might hear my bass after Erick generally puts down the original tracks. And so then it's like, oh, that was kind of neat. And then Kevin might add something, or Tommy then lays his drums. And, the songs all morphed for us. And we actually kind of heard it similar to what we did with a podcast. And that was kind of a cool experience in and of itself. What a lot of the Westies don't realize is we didn't record our podcasts in order of the album. We bounced around a little bit. And
the smart ones will realize it. Because, even listening to Echoes today, there's a few times, Tommy, we're going to call you out. There's a few times Tommy goes, well, in the last episode, Echoes followed Moving Shadows. So,
yeah.
The Westies had, 4 episodes between that.
Yeah. So, but, not that changed the learning experience.
Not at all.
Listening experience. It was interesting because our learning curve wasn't necessarily in a linear fashion that all of you get to experience it out there. So,
but this is the last one. This is the one we're recording last. One. That's why it has the best sound quality, because we've all bought better equipment.
Hopefully, yes.
Well, yeah, if it doesn't, we have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2/3 of us are in our garage, so that we've learned is a good.
There's nothing wrong with the garage. The garage is a California living room. That's all the garage is here.
Or a giant crap closet. But
your garage needs work, man. You should.
Yeah.
You should be inspired by mine.
Ugh.
I could eat off my floor.
I need a house fire before I can fix my garage.
I know people. It's interesting. You talk about like learning the craft. Yeah, that was a big takeaway for me too. Like we talked about, I had no idea. I was reading so many articles on how to do a podcast 101. I didn't know, even I think in the first episode, I'm using like the crappy vocal mic. Well, it's not crappy, but it's a mic meant for singing. I've since upgraded to that nice SM7B by Shure because that's what everyone else uses. So I got that in my boom mic and it sounds a hell of a lot better. So that was a good idea. But like learning like, intros and doing this and, I'm trying my hardest not to say every 3 words and, keeping people engaged and trying to paint pictures with your words, which is ironic because in a song, it's easy. In a song, it's sure I can write a song and that's fine, but I've got a lot more time to do that. Where in a podcast, you really have to think. It's almost like it's live because we don't go back and edit in, phrases and, I missed this, so I'm going to go talk about, we still edit out all our burps and chair squeaks and all that stuff.
Well, unless you accidentally delete an entire file. But
you raise a good point. And since we're on the past, why don't you tell a story, Lance?
Yeah. I mean, we weren't even going to do this, but it just dawned on me. So
more audibles. We're off the rails now. We're in the backwoods of Narnia.
So this is actually a good story, and I don't know if I'll say the episode until the end of it, but so you can at least, the audience out there, guess on which one I'm talking about. But so we did our episode in a normal fashion. We all upload our individual files to a Google Drive. I then download them down on my MacBook or my wife's and start mixing the content and cleaning things up before I give it to Tommy to do some of the overlays. I still don't know what actually happened, but my file was about a gig. It looked just as long as everyone else's.
You screwed up. That's what happened.
Well, yeah, I just don't know what I actually did. I have a theory, and I'll share that here in a second. But so it looked good because it was a whole gig, and all of our files were about a gig, and I loaded them back in to start mixing, and mine was just a nice straight flat line, just like a heartbeat that stopped beating. And
did your heart stop at that second?
Well, it kind of dropped in my stomach, and then I kind of pooped it out the backside, and because I started panicking as because I always delete everything where I record it because it's my wife's MacBook. There's not a ton of memory left, and so I text Eric, and I'm like, Eric, can you listen to my file? Like, did you hear nothing as well? And he's like, yeah, got nothing, buddy. I'm like, oh my God. So what I believe I did is I accidentally had it muted when I uploaded it. So nothing came through, but it was the whole length because I know it was there. And then, of course, I deleted the original and I went, anyways, I had nothing. So
what about when you're speaking of muting your track that you want to save? What about the times you don't mute your click?
That happens.
Get a click track in your.
That happens here and there, but I can correct that. I couldn't delete something, and so Eric and I talked about it, and we realized my plan was option A: we re-record the whole thing, but we didn't have the time, and it just made my head explode, and so.
The episode was too good. It was a great episode.
It was a great episode, one that Eric has already referenced. So the
I actually didn't even know.
Yeah, no, and that was the thing. Eric and I decided we're going to keep it a secret from everybody. Nobody knew except Eric and I think until last week. So the plan was, Eric, I'm going to mix it. I'm going to mix everyone's parts. I have no idea what I said, but I'm going to figure out something to put in. And it took me, 3 times as many hours. I would say it was approaching 10 plus hours when I finished this. But I had to listen to the setup. I had to listen to follow through to see how people responded to things I said. And I don't know, half of it probably was close to what I said, but the other half I made up. So in the end, I recorded it. It sounds amazing. And nobody really could tell. Nobody even noticed, which is not surprising, but...
No, and I don't think we should... we have said it already tonight, but I don't think we should specify.
Okay,
because
we'll leave it a mystery.
Listening to it, no one in the band knew. No one caught it. It sounds perfectly natural. Your responses are pretty close to the original things you said.
That you recall.
If you listen closely, though, I mean, you'll notice that all of us while talking will stumble over words and they'll be like, because that's normal conversation.
Yep.
Lance's his vernacular is perfect throughout this entire episode. There are no pauses. It's like he's reading off a script. He's calm. He's composed. So you guys figure it out. Send me an email. Put it on social media. Let us know if you can tell which episode that Lance had to record. 2 days? How many days was it? A day after? 2 days after? Or did you do it that night?
No, well, I spent days doing it. It was about 2-3 days after we did it.
2-3 days.
What happened. And I had about 4 days to get it in before we could get it in on a Monday. But yeah, I mean, I even had to fill in some chuckles and laughs. I did a lot of little color here and there that felt a little contrived, but it came out like you couldn't tell.
Hey, it's what you got to do, man. And, like I said, we had, the Denmark episode, we had mechanical issues in that one, technical issues, and we had to redo it after an hour. Again, Lance's fault. So we had to redo that one. But this episode, so now you know it wasn't Denmark. This episode was so good, and everyone on it was just so spot on that Lance just had to redo it.
That's actually what you said. You're like, dude, so many of those conversations we can't redo. They're too good. We have to keep it. And that was
because it wouldn't have gone it would have been contrived the second time.
For sure. No, it turned out great, and I'm glad I went for it. I probably spent at least 10 hours re-recording that just on my own.
Worth it.
But
worth every hour.
Yeah, I was able to edit it while I went along, so it wasn't a total waste of time, but it turned out great.
Well, that's good.
And we had one episode where I had to come in via satellite because I was I was being a dad during the recording time, and we came in via satellite, which was kind of interesting. People probably didn't know we have that kind of technology.
Yeah,
as a small band.
That one worked out well because that was an episode. I mean, Lance and I had already pulled off, this great deceit with this other episode, but you don't want to make a habit of faking it, So, I mean, even in that episode, I clearly say, here's Tommy from the future, knowing you would do it. And then you added those really cool effects, and there's static, like you're dialing in. And I texted Tommy after I heard it. And I'm like, this is really, really clever.
It was clever.
It did not come off as cheesy like I thought it would. And it was really a clever way to do it. And it worked out really well in the episode. Which one was that? Was that Fallen?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Fallen.
Because Lance took a shot at me in the beginning of it when I wasn't there to defend myself about playing every one of my 8 tom-toms.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, speaking of Lance, who's the drummer for Rush?
Yeah, so I've practiced this a little bit. So it's and Tommy's face on Skype. I think his eyeballs are about to pop.
Oh, if you can see Tommy's face right now, Westies, Tommy's face is absolutely fantastic.
So I know he's not from Australia. He's not from Perth, Australia. He's Canadian, which is awesome. And it's Neil Peart. How'd I do? Peart?
You're still in the band.
All right. Woo! Dodged that one.
He actually ended up moving to Southern California, though.
Well, yeah, when you're a billionaire after being successful playing in a wonderful band forever.
Yeah, Tommy, make that face again when I asked Lance who was the drummer Rush.
Both eyeballs. Oh my God! There
Perfect.
it is.
That's going on Instagram.
Did you get it?
Yeah,
I
got it.
Oh man!
Now it
dries out my eyes.
It's funny because I was a little inspired because Eric, when we did the episode, you said we're gonna patch in Tommy. So when I then, at the end of when we finished everything and I did the intro recording, I thought of the podcast I was mentioning before, and every now and then they don't have one of their members, and they kind of will say, we're going to patch them in. And I said via satellite in the intro. And I didn't think about it until I heard Tommy's final rendition, and those words ended up being his inspiration for all your R2-D2 sounds, which was very clever and well done.
Very good.
Thank you. was fun.
Tommy, that's like two great things that you've done.
I know. That took me twice as long to figure out all the sound effects and get them mixed right than it did for me
bleep bloop blops.
Do everything else.
That should get you ready for the second album. Nothing but bleep bloop blops.
Should be right. Okay, we can do that. We can do a bleep. You went nice.
Number 2.
Sorry.
You're on number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, this episode bodes well for the Westies. I'm sticking with my 1, but you do you, man.
Especially because I have to wake up.
What time are you getting up in the morning?
I normally get about 4:30.
Oh my God.
So,
well, considering his day job, he could just go lock the door in his office. And
that's true. He doesn't actually do anything.
That's not at all possible.
Because you're assistant to the principal, right?
That's right.
True.
Yeah.
You probably have how many assistants at your school? More than one, I'm sure.
We had 4. One had a rough go, and so there's only 3 of us left.
And the odds are Lance was the reason for the rough go.
But no, it was unfortunate, and I can't talk about it because
all right, moving on.
Of legal
Let's
reasons.
not get him in trouble. You can edit all that out. So let's move on to the present. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the past. So, as you guys know, we've been recording the podcast, but we have also been doing band stuff, west of house work, along with the podcast, much to the chagrin of the other members who, I keep them busy and I destroy their souls with constant work.
Specifically, a few of them. It's tough to juggle Erick in their life.
Yes, I'm a harsh mistress. I demand much. And again, if we could see Tommy's face, his forlorn, distant look into the valley of doom. Okay, Westies, you need to realize when it comes to music, I am an absolutely and completely and totally a workaholic.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic. It's what I do. I'm in my studio every day. I'm either working on music or working on the podcast. I have numerous projects going on at the same time, and it's what keeps me going. It's my fuel, the legacy that I will one day leave. And the other guys, are busy and don't have that drive, so to speak, and that's okay because not everyone is insane like I am. But
it's good. It keeps the wheel cranking, and I think without it, Erick, we wouldn't have produced what we've done, what we're doing, and what we will do.
Well, I mean, yeah,
so
I
You
agree. We've talked
dominatrix.
We've talked about in previous episodes how I was like a writing 2, 3, 4 songs a year type of guy. Now, I still don't understand what happened, a year and 2 months ago when the floodgates opened, and now we're looking at like 45, 50 songs. I don't know what's going on. Now the issue is it hasn't stopped. I'm still writing. So the way I look at it is I better keep recording everything I can because the well will eventually run dry. So until that happens, I'm just going to make every other musician around me miserable and force you to create music and, put it down on, well, it's not 2-inch tape anymore, but put it down in your computers.
And we thank you for that.
Well, sure. Good. It's clear, that you're thanking me and Tommy's just staring at me menacingly. So.
No, it's nice to have stuff ready to work on and not waiting. Because it makes me, get down there and into the dungeon and do my thing.
Yeah, you have something on your list to work on, after this podcast.
Not one thing. I got many things.
Good answer, Tommy.
But if the Westies don't know, I'm also a professional volleyball official, and right now is crazy volleyball season.
Not 7 days a week.
I'm usually gone all weekend when I can record, and I get home when it's kind of late.
Which is why God made weekdays.
So
turn off your TV. If you got rid of cable, you could record like 4 albums in 2 weeks.
That's my
Stop watching The View and play your damn drums.
I'm not watching what?
Or Oprah or Judge Wapner or whatever you're watching.
Golden Girls, obviously. Golden Girls.
Tommy, you're the 5th Golden Girl. So
the Judge Wapner thing is funny because didn't I mention that in one of the episodes? That
Sadly,
the guitar parts
you did, yes.
Oh, yeah. Now we're going back to Denmark, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. This is just going to make me mad like when you told me you took that one beat from Material Girl.
I didn't take it. You put it in there. I played it.
You're the one who said it was Material Girl. You didn't need to say that. It's unnatural.
Yeah, it was the beat you put in.
No, it's not.
And I played it.
Madonna stole that from me.
No, well, that could be.
I wrote that song in 1982.
Not surprised.
Okay, let's focus on the present here. So what have we done? And we've alluded to some things in other episodes. And if you follow the band, you know what we've done. But in case you've missed it, well, we recorded a cover song, didn't we, guys?
We did.
Yes, we did.
And it's currently the number one song I've played the past week. I think I played about 5 times a day. I absolutely love it.
It was a fun one. So right after we finished Crescendo of Silence, we were working on the EP, which we'll talk about in a second. And I always like the idea of doing cover songs and not doing cover songs, like they are, just like tribute band style, but doing something different with them. And especially doing something from a different genre that we don't normally hit at. So a band that I really enjoy is a Scottish group called Churches. And their style of music is very different from West of House, but it's excellent. They are a wonderful band. If you're not familiar with Churches with a V, by the way, instead of VU, go check them out. They just have a handle on melding electronica and wonderful female vocals and just their melodies and passion. It's just great. I can't say enough good things about them. But one of the lesser known songs off one of their albums is a song called Heaven Hell. And there was something about the melody that I stuck it in, one of my top playlists, and I just listened to it over and over because there's this melody in it and the chorus, it just kills me. I'm a sucker for a great melody. And it's, even though it was sung, by a female vocalist who is extremely talented, way more than I am, I wanted to cover it because, there's no gender rules when you're dealing with music. Men can sing what women sing, women can sing what men sing, and it just makes the world better from doing things like that. So I threw it at the band. And were you guys even familiar with Churches? Did you know who they were? I know Lance didn't.
Not at all.
I knew of the band, but I didn't really know them. I mean, I've heard of them. It's a band that my brother had listened to, and I knew it through him, but not one that I was directly listening to.
And
so,
Eric, to correct you, some men like you can sing like a woman.
Do sing like a woman. That's right.
It's true. I have been, I'm not going to say accused. I'm going to say honored with a review that congratulated the female vocals on Yesterday's, that they were beautiful. And I take that as a very high compliment because the higher I sing, the happier people get.
And another compliment I'm going to puff up. Well, this is a compliment to all of us, actually, but not just Eric. So I played this for my boss last week at work, and then I played the original.
What, Heaven Hell?
Yeah. So I played our version, and then I played the original version. And he's like, that's cool, but I actually like your version better. I'm like, oh, man, too kind.
That's nice. I will not publicly or even privately say that our song is better than their original. Their original, it's different. Their original, go check it out. We can't play it, for copyright violations and stuff like that. I don't want the podcast taken down. It's a lot more electronica, a lot more, that driving bass in your face. And we slowed it down. It's already a long song. Their version is 5 minutes. I think ours is pushing 6.
No, I want to say it's less than 5. It's like 4.5, I thought.
No, it is not 4.5.
Ours or theirs?
I can guarantee you that our version is not 4.5. It's our longest song, I think.
You talk crazy.
Lance, I'm looking at it right here on Spotify. It's 6:05.
Whoa, 6:05.
I listened to it on Apple.
I accept your apology, Lance.
Shorter and Apple.
I accept your apology. So we slowed it down. We threw in it was kind of a rare bird because when I gave it to the band, I was 20 tracks deep. I sang it. I did all the synth. I did drum programming, and I threw it to the band. And almost to the point of they're like, "Well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? There's nothing left." Lance threw down some drums. Tommy actually did some drum beats that went along with the programming. So I challenge you, Westies, listen to it. See if you can tell which is which, because it's very hard, which is a credit to Tommy.
I did 36 drum tracks.
Okay, you played the drums. It's you could say 36 drum tracks, but it's one track.
No, it's actually 5 different parts that came out to 36
then that's
tracks.
5 tracks.
No, it's not. Because I'm playing in one track, I'm playing like 6 different drums.
Okay, but that's still one. It should be one track.
So Westies, Tommy has a problem. He's bought too many microphones for all of his drums. See, he just said there's not too many microphones.
There are not too many microphones.
See, when I say I lay down 20 guitar tracks, that's 20 different times that I played. When you say you have, 20 mics and you have 20 drum tracks, it's still one time you played though.
36.
But if one of my takes I play 5 drums, if I played one of those drums and then went back and played the next drum, then I could be like that. But I can play a bunch of them at one time.
The first step to healing is recognizing you have a problem.
Okay, Mr. One Take.
We're not there yet.
Okay, Mr. One Take.
Yeah, Lance.
That happened once.
Lance doesn't know. Lance is always one track, and
that
that's
doesn't know.
Well, actually, no.
Just yesterday's.
On the, maybe new album, there is one song where Lance has 3 different tracks.
That's true. That's the future.
That's the future.
Lance has more podcasts that he had to re-record than songs on the CD.
That is true. So anyways, so we do Heaven Hell. I give it to Lance. I give it to Tommy. Dave didn't play on it. No, they did play on it. Kevin and Dave played on it, but their parts are in there somewhere.
Gently.
Like one or 2 tracks. The song was pretty much done. And it turned out really well. I'm really proud of that song. I think we did I think we were very respectful to the band and to the version we did. So
definitely,
because we can, here's a little bit of Heaven Hell, the West of House cover from the band Churches.
Our style.
So there you go. Very different, a different take from that song, but one of my favorite covers. Maybe there are more covers in our future. Maybe we will talk about it in the future. I don't know.
Eric, why did we do a cover? Where'd that come from?
He just mentioned that. He totally went through all that just a minute ago.
Really?
Yeah, I said because I love covers.
Yeah. Just because you love covers.
I love covers,
weird, though,
and we hadn't done a true cover. We had done a song that someone else wrote, which we'll talk about almost immediately, but we hadn't done a true cover.
But that cover had a very specific vision.
Oh,
because you gave
okay.
us 6 different tracks.
Yeah. You gave us a bunch of different songs and said pick one.
Yeah, because you wanted some I don't know what the phrase you use, but kind of, I don't know if irony is the right word, but it was
No, irony is the wrong word.
Okay.
This was a long time ago too. We recorded.
No, I mean,
this months
if
ago.
you're referring to like the meaning behind the song is very important to me. If you've listened to Carry Your Dreams, especially like three of us, even though the others might not admit it, I am unabashedly a feminist, and the lyrics of Heaven Hell are from a very feminist perspective about being a woman in a man's world, which also why I kind of love is that even a word? I love the juxtaposition
Position
of a. Let's
you
backtrack.
sound like Lance.
Yeah, I'm making up Lance words right now.
Hey, just go with your heart.
I love the fact that you have a female empowerment song sung by a male, and not in an ironic way and not disrespectfully, but because I so appreciate, the struggle that women have to deal with. That's why I really enjoyed singing that song. So that was one of the reasons why I was glad we picked that song. I remember I gave you guys a bunch.
You did, but all of them had like this irony. Now, again, I don't know if irony is the right word, but it was like bookends of different meanings.
I remember the list, and maybe we'll talk about when we get to future, but every song was picked for a reason. One, because I loved them. Yes. Every song I picked, I loved, but there was a reason, because there should be a reason. I mean, we talked about it. I don't remember the episode. We said, there's a place for bands that do whatever. And we threw the bone with what we're going to talk about right now. We threw the bone with the Pinecone EP. Pinecone doesn't mean a damn thing.
Right, Tommy?
We'll talk about that in a second. But the majority of the things we do, there is a reason behind it. And sometimes only we knew it. Sometimes, we share that with you on the podcast. But yeah, like with Heaven Hell, there was the angle of it's a feminist anthem, sung by a male. With some of the other songs, which we will not name because they may appear someday, there's always an angle. So if you listen to a cover by us, we did it for a very specific reason. It wasn't just because that's cool.
How would a Westie listen to Heaven Hell, by the way? How would they find such a beautiful track?
Our track? Well, you can find it anywhere you stream digital music, Westies, on Spotify, Apple Music, on Tidal, iHeartRadio, you name it, Amazon, we're there. That's the wonderful thing about West of House Music is you can find it everywhere you stream digital music in any country around the world.
Good shameless plug. As we move on to the
even
EP.
Papua New Guinea. If you are listening to this podcast in Papua New Guinea, pop on that song right now.
I love the Papa. Someday I hope to visit the Papa.
Papa Smurf?
Absolutely.
He's already visited him, I think.
So, which segues beautifully into the Pinecone EP. So, also, while we did Heaven and Hell, we were putting together a collection of a B-side, it's not really a cover song. We did the song Killer for Protest Song, which was written by a friend of ours. And then we threw in a piano version of Fallen and old demos of Moving Shadows and Voyeuristic. And that was just something to throw out there to say, hey, we're still here. We're still doing stuff. Don't forget, we love that you're still listening to Crescendo. But we talked I don't remember what episode it was. Last week before, 2 weeks before Fallen, we talked about the Pinecone EP because it had just come out. And it is out now, again, on every place you can stream media. And we talked about Irish Goodbye, which was a really fun song. It was a song that we recorded very early in the sessions for Crescendo because it was supposed to be on that album. And then for whatever reason, it just wasn't tracking. But it turned into something really cool as a B-side. We got to enlist all these Westies as backup singers and just a really awesome experience. But for this episode, I kind of want to hit on Killifer and the kind of experience that was.
Growing up in Utah, obviously I never heard of Killifer. It was nice to get some perspective, some local perspective on something like that. And I learned a lot about the school and what it means to the history of the United States, really. And
why don't you share that in case they don't know what you're talking about? Why don't you share about Killifer, what that is?
Oh, obviously they know. They're way brighter than I am. So Killefer School, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the first school that was desegregated in the United States prior to the court case that is escaping me now. No, not that one.
That's abortion.
Yeah. Hold on. It'll come
Education.
to me. It'll come to me.
Help him out, Lance.
Brown versus Board of Education.
Brown versus Board of Education. Thank you, Lance. Of course, you would know. So yeah, that's what the Killefer School is all about. And then I believe there's a big mean college down there that somehow acquired the property and was going to tear it down for parking or something. And there's a gentleman who wrote the song that we covered, and Eric can tell me his name because I don't remember.
Jerome Ryan.
Jerome Ryan, that's right. Is he a friend of yours or?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
They're a friend of all of ours now.
Friend of the band,
right?
A friend of West
I
of
think
House.
he actually came to us, right, and asked us to play it.
He sure did.
So we threw out this little song. It's kind of cool. It's really short. It's under 3 minutes. So Lance, that's half of Heaven and Hell, and because that was 6:05. Oh, by the way, the original version of Heaven and Hell is 5:06, and ours is 6:05. So,
wow, that's deep.
how's that?
Deep, very deep.
But I digress. So yeah, it was a fun song. We threw it together really quickly.
24
Kind of
hours.
a little
24
punky thing.
hours for that song.
Yeah, and we were trying to meet a deadline for Jerome, to use the song to help with fundraising and awareness to try to save the school, right? Save Killefer. And if you watch the video on YouTube, each one of the band members has a little comment about it before we play the video that features some photos of the school and some facts, along with the really cool song that Jerome wrote and we arranged and played.
And fun fact, the school was indeed saved. So the pressure was put
because of West of House.
On this college that shall not be named. And they said that they will, maintain it and use it as a landmark for future generations to enjoy.
And that school is in Orange, California. So you can read into that if you'd like to, which is something I didn't realize that school was really the impetus that kind of led to that Brown versus Board of Education, the seminal Supreme Court case that kind of created that separatism of education and kind of corrected that, which is pretty awesome and something in education myself I know all too well. But I was not aware of Killefer being that kind of that initial one that started that momentum. So I was pretty excited about that. And interestingly, there was a person at my district office that used to work for the Orange School District that was fully aware of the Killefer School and knew that it was part of the school district that he worked for. And he was pretty pleased and happy to hear about this extremely cool experience that we all got to share with you guys through the Killefer song and video.
It was a lot of fun. And it was, it's really cool that things turned out well, and to be a part of that and have Jerome ask us. And he wrote a really cool song. It was like one of those protest songs from the 60s. It was him on a guitar. We were at a mutual friend's house and we were sitting around a fire and like playing like Bon Jovi and Poison songs and drinking a few beers. And he goes, "Hey, I got this protest song." And he played me the protest song then. And I told him, I'm like, "Hey, that is really cool." And then it was a few weeks after that, that he contacted me and I said, he said, "Hey, can you guys do something?" And I said, "Well, let us take a crack at your song." And, it turned out good. And like we said, it was in 24 hours. I told the guys, I go, "Hey, we need this immediately." And Dave wasn't in the band at the time, but the four of us, everyone stepped up and they got it done. And let's play a little bit of that song. This is Killefer Protest Song, written by Jerome Ryan, performed by West of House. Here you go.
Oh, my eyes, they fill with tears as I think back to the years. A racist school board, segregated schools. If we're equal after all, Thurgood Marshall made the call to desegregate in 1947.
So there you go. I mean, fun and to the point. It kind of a little pop punk in there.
A little
You
bit.
know?
Yeah, I dig it.
And I think what, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, we not only played and recorded that in 24 hours, but didn't we also record our spoken parts for the video in the same 24 hours?
I believe you're right. You know,
That's
and
impressive.
it was during that we learned who in the band is extremely uncomfortable on camera. And it was
I think we knew that before.
no names.
They're just not here tonight, but yeah.
But I mean, it was really cool. Everyone really came through for that song.
Yep, it was a fun one. So we've done the past, the history,
We've done the
right?
present.
The
What do you
past
think's
is
next, Tommy?
the pa-
Well, I'm going to say future for 100, Alex.
Oh my God. He is batting 1,000 tonight. Look at this guy. Okay. So the future, Westies, you're probably wondering, is there a future? Maybe there's not. Maybe we'll announce right now
What?
that we're breaking up.
I am crying, literally.
But you know that would be BS. So
Well,
we have a
some
few
of us are gonna
few
continue.
interesting and fun things on the horizon. What should we hit on first? You know, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about Crescendo of Silence. Is anything coming with
Well,
that? Are we done?
Maybe we'll share that we fired Tommy and we're just going to use electronic drums.
Well, that's the second
Don't-
album. We're still on
Don't
Crescendo.
give him any ideas.
So one thing we have been working toward is a vinyl version of Crescendo of Silence. We have a vinyl mix all ready to go, but damn, those things are expensive.
They're very
They are.
pricey.
They are not cheap. But one thing that we are still committed to, and with every sale that we make of CDs, with all the proceeds from streaming, and you know, thank the Lord, they are adding up. All that money is going toward a vinyl version of Crescendo. So, but yes, I'll even mention again because that's important. We still have a very limited number of CDs. If you would like CDs, you can contact us directly through social media, or you can go to our Bandcamp page at westofhouse.bandcamp.com, and you can actually order a CD off that page.
That's
And
amazing.
it'll be
'cause
shipped
some
to you.
of us haven't even
If
sold
you
a
want
CD.
if you want it autographed for some sick reason, we'll even do that too. Well, at least me and Lance will, because everyone else is out of the county. But you know, buy that stuff, listen to the songs, and we're trying to avoid a Kickstarter just because Kickstarter takes a percentage. If we have to, we'll do that because we really want a vinyl version of that. It's a great way for that album to be heard. I think vinyl will do a great justice to Crescendo of Silence.
Yeah, so just like this band has created a podcast and made me listen to podcasts, if we get a vinyl pressing, I'll have to buy a record player.
Worth it, Tommy. You should be listening to vinyl right now. I listen.
I used to listen to vinyl before Lance was born, but
Well,
then
It's
cassettes
true.
came out.
Yeah, but you were listening to like, you know, Air Supply and Neil Sedaka and Christopher Cross and stuff like that. Now I need to introduce you to a whole new world.
My first vinyl was 45 of King Tut by Steve Martin, which the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band did the music for, which I ended up meeting John McEwen, one of the founding members, because his son and I went to high school together. So small world.
God, you're old.
And
Wow.
it was a 45. It was awesome. And then I got another one by Seduced by Queen. That was my second 45.
Okay, that's a little better.
That is a big upgrade.
So the vinyl's cool. I mean, that's exciting. I'm a big time, you know, purveyor of the vinyl format. I have quite a bit and I enjoy it. And there would just be something very gleeful to have a vinyl of Crescendo of Silence arrive in the mail and hold it and pull out the lyrics and put on the nice headphones and just sit in my part of the couch and listen to that on vinyl. It makes me happy. It pleases me.
You thought about that a long time ago, which is what inspired the beginning part of Holy Ghosted.
That's right. Holy Ghosted was specifically written to be the first song on side B of a vinyl. It's why it has the crackle, which we talked about in that episode. So
Release the crackle.
release the crackle. It needs to happen. The vinyl needs to happen. And I'm really hoping 2021 is the year for that.
Hey, there also might be speaking of old methods of listening to music, a symphonic version of one of our songs in the future.
We did. We
wow.
talked a little bit about that in the very last episode, I believe. And I'm also hoping that 2021 sees the symphonic version of Voyeuristic Symphony. That would be pretty awesome.
Yep. That would be cool. And then maybe a recording by an actual symphony.
Well, that would, I mean, the name symphonic version kind of gives that away. It
That
wasn't
was
going to be.
assumed by the
It
title.
wasn't
Oh,
going
I
to be us
see.
humming every instrument.
Well, it's a two-step
like here's
process,
my
right?
oboe
It's
impression.
getting someone to write the part and then finding someone to play it.
Which has been Tommy's dream for many.
That
many
means I guess
moons
we'll have to
ago.
fly you up here if we do it in Utah and have you sing.
Oh, we can't just use the old version.
Oh, so you
The
take your
same
vocal part
BPM.
and just
That's a
track
good
it.
vocal take.
Just reverse it instead of a live vocal and a backing track.
You know,
you have
I
a-
would come. I would absolutely. If we ever do that, I want to be in the studio when that's recorded. That's bucket list stuff right there.
We'll do a road trip.
And then we can take a jaunt out to see Bobby while you're here.
Look out, Bobby.
We're
Now-
coming
now-
for you, Bobby.
Now, Bobby is working on something else right now. Are you guys aware of what that is?
I am.
You are?
Yeah,
What could
we
that
are.
be?
Well, does Lance know? I've already broke a few news items here. Maybe Lance can take a shot at it.
Well, besides us giving him other things for our second album, Eric, I think, in all of his spare time, which is amazing he has any, believe he did a solo album. Am I
He did.
am I
Well, he
right?
did one song. He did a song.
It's
Big
true.
deal.
Well, you're both
A
right.
song.
You were both right. So in November, Bobby Phillips, that devil, he and another guy, Andrew, I believe, they started something called National Solo Album Month, and it was kind of it's kind of like there's a national like novel writing month where you're supposed to write an entire novel in a month. So NaNoWriMo, I think that was called National Writing Month. I don't know what it is, but they did one with solo albums, and I saw it, and he was encouraging me to do it, which is I never should have said yes. It was a terrible mistake, and by mistake I mean I'm so happy I did it. So he challenged me to during the month of November 2020 to write, record, and release a solo album. So I was kind of racking my brain, and at first I was going to, come up with like maybe 10 acoustic songs or something like that. Anyway, long story short, I ended up writing one song that's 34 minutes long. The song is broken up into 10 movements. They all run together, and it's basically a musical representation of mental illness, specifically schizophrenia. And it runs the gamut of genres from ambient to electronica. There's some grunge, there's black metal. Any genre you can think of is on there. It's chaotic, it's dissonant, it's visceral, it's in your face, it's disturbing, it will make you anxious. There is so much going on as I was trying to tap in to what a person struggling with schizophrenia might be feeling like. And every lyric and every note fits that. I mean, it got to a point where I was so deep into writing this that there were times that I was so disturbed that I couldn't even listen to what I was playing. And so the demo is out there. I'm not going to promo it right now because we finished mixing and mastering the song literally tonight on March 3rd, 2021. Bobby presented the final version to me tonight. I've signed off on it. It will probably release sometime in April. I'm imagining no later than May. And it's something else. I mean, it is completely different. It is not like West of House. There are no similarities whatsoever besides if you know my voice, you'll hear parts of that on this album, but then I'm even singing in a different style than probably some of you are used to. So
We're excited to hear that, Eric.
it's something, and we're gonna play a little clip right now. And it's I'm playing under the name No Sky Can Blind Us because I just don't like using my own name for solo ventures. So the project is called No Sky Can Blind Us. The song is called This Is Not For You. And this is from one of the earlier movements in the track. And here you go.
She never said a word, but I could tell that she was laughing. She never said a word, but I could tell that she was laughing. She never said a word, but I could tell that she was laughing. And three thoughts that I would try to understand while standing under her. I could see forever under her. I could see forever, and the two became one.
So there you go. That was a little piece of This Is Not For You. And maybe it wasn't for you.
I'm wondering now, because that's nothing like I've ever heard you do. Are you sure that's you?
You know, it's interesting because during that part, we talked about the mental illness and that specific section, the protagonist, it's meant to be thought of as if he's singing in a straitjacket. So even when I sang it, I wrapped my arms around myself and it sung in one take.
That's very cool. And not at all like the sample you shared with me originally where I said, hey, Eric, that sounds fun.
Yeah, you'll never live that one down.
That's a little different layer. That's a little dark, which is good stuff. Good stuff.
It's interesting. It was fun to do. I like stretching. But my heart is, of course, still in West of House. And which leads us, I think, to the most exciting topic of today, which is album number 2.
Ow! Yeah, we're moving along pretty well on that. Some of us better than others, but we have faith.
Okay, Mr. One Take.
Wow, never gonna let that down. But
You should add another string to your bass. Make it a little harder.
yeah, I've always thought about that, but I don't
You'd
think
probably
so.
just rest your thumb on it anyway.
I
and never
would.
play it.
It'd be a good thumb rest. The low B. No, it's been fun so far. I think a few of us, as I kind of hinted before, those not with us, have babies being produced in wombs.
Well,
So
wait,
we have a
they don't have
deadline.
babies being produced
Well,
in them.
They're being grown, developed, in the primordial ooze, but we've got some
Isn't
good
that
stuff.
Isn't that just like a
Lance
pee
and the
bubble?
wonder of childbirth.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just a pee bubble, isn't it? That the babies are in, basically.
A pee bubble. That just sounds gross. But
Well, am I wrong?
but childbirth is gross, but it's a beautiful thing at the same time.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, better. I wouldn't want to go through it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, or watch it ever again, personally.
oh, man,
But again,
Lance.
it is a beautiful thing to see creation
I
happen.
apologize to all the female Westies out there. There's no excuse for Lance.
No, it's great.
He is what he is. We love him, but he lacks some social mores.
It's
And
beautiful,
we
disgusting for
apologize.
sure. But that being said,
So the second album.
yes,
Let's talk about that.
We should. Do you want to tease them now or later?
Oh well, let's chat about it a bit. So yeah, it's March 3rd. So this time I think we were 2 songs deep into Crescendo. We have actually been working on the second album. The writing started for that last October. And as of right now, knock on my wood desk,
Whoa.
all the songs, the foundations are written, which means there are demo versions of every song that we intend at this point to include on that album. So we have no dates for you. We don't know when it's coming out. We don't know how long it's going to take, but we're well into the process, which
That's
is
true.
extremely exciting because normally we would not be thinking about a second album at all. We'd be, doing shows or something like that. But because COVID is still going on and things are still locked down, we thought, well, why the hell not? And if the spark is still there, then let's keep going. Let's keep the flame alight.
We're trying to beat the babies.
And we're trying to beat the babies. Both Kevin and Dave's wives are expecting this summer. So we are under the gun to try to make sure that their parts get in, before those new lives are born. Because when they are, we're demanding that they spend time with their families. That's more important than music.
Glad you clarified that, because we want to make sure that everyone's clear. No babies were harmed in the production of this podcast.
No.
So we're not beating any babies. We're just trying to beat the delivery of such babies.
We're not literally beating the babies. That would be, we would be famous for entirely different reasons, and we don't want that.
All the babies we have beaten are adults now, for the most part, except for Lance's.
It's true. There are a few babies in this band.
So we have a teaser.
Yeah,
we have a teaser, which we're going to play. And, well, hell, let's do it. What you're going to hear right now is just over 4 minutes long. And there are bits and pieces of, I think, 11 songs on there. They're all in different stages of development. So you're not hearing any final versions of songs. So we're going to clarify that. Most bands don't throw this out there. But we feel like, you guys that listen to this podcast, you deserve something special. You're going to hear a lot of drum machines. You're going to hear a lot of scratch vocals. I think Tommy literally is maybe on one or two of these. Most of it is, Mr. 808's my programming, because we still have a ways to go. Lance is on a few. I think Kevin's maybe on one of them. Maybe Dave's on one. I'm not really sure right now. But we wanted to give you something special because you've stuck with us. So we're not going to put this on social media. We're just going to play it here on Echoes Down the Road. So without further ado, here is 4 minutes of clips of songs from album number 2.
Enjoy.
Speak to me, all the truth in your lies, a fantasy for your thin disguise.
So there you go. The world premiere of some demos. Again, not final versions, so when they come out, they're going to sound a hell of a lot different. But that is a little taste. And, I think, guys, the first thing that jumps out to me is stylistically how many different genres we're tackling with this.
Yeah, we're going to that genre hopping thing again.
We doubled down on genre hopping with this one.
Which is fun for us because that lets us play different things. But on the flip side of that, trying to promote a band that isn't pigeonholed into something is very difficult because that's what people want to know, right? What do you guys sound like? What do you play?
We don't want to be those people anyways.
No.
We aren't. Because we only want true fans, dozens of them. We don't want to be big time.
It's interesting, whenever I talk about us, I say, we take a little bit of everything in such a way that we don't sound like anything else.
That is true.
That was deep.
That was deep.
Because, you can even listen to Crescendo, you may hear parts of like U2 or Pink Floyd or something like that. But when you finish a song and you try to take it as a whole, you can't say, well, this sounds like, and put it in a nice box. And really, like I said, we doubled down on that in the second album. You're not going to be able to say this album sounds like insert band here, because the influences that I drew from in writing these songs, they're all over the place. Absolutely. We went further west than we did on Crescendo. And we're talking about influences from, the most fun one I had was even using Bieger in that one song. And so there's some interesting things afoot.
The further undying lands in the West.
Yeah, we're so far west, we can see Japan from here.
We're so far west, we're going to be east.
That's right. Now we're east. It'll be the album name. Now we're east.
That's an idea.
You were doing so well, Tommy. You were doing so well right
We're
until
about
that
to
moment.
say it.
I thought you were going to say it.
Nope, I'm not. You have gathered. You're still in my good graces. So I hope you guys are excited. We're excited. Again, no dates. We're not promising anything. Will it happen in 2021? We hope so.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see when the babies arrive and what happens. But we are, actively creating. I think that's the big takeaway from all this. And
Definitely. More to come.
let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Is that all that we're doing?
Well, there's always that dream of doing a West Coast road type tour, but that needs to still go in concert with our plans and the plans of COVID in our country. But there is a dream of such things.
We need to get out of the whole lockdown thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it does raise a good point, though. We would love to play live. Well, we'd all love to be in the same room, for one of the first time ever.
Someday.
But we absolutely...
I'd sure like to meet all the guys.
The future of West of House, we will be some type of live band. We will play. That's what bands do. We're doing what we can do right now, but there are West of House concerts when this is over. We will make it happen, and we will melt your faces, and a good time will be had by all.
That is the plan. But in the meantime, we will continue to make quality music, interesting music. And I think there's one other idea we have out there of maybe even continuing this audible pleasure of yours, our podcast.
We have teased it. We have said a lot of if there is a season 2, and we will officially announce right now on episode 12 of Echoes Down the Road, there will be a season 2 of this podcast. And that is thanks to you guys. You guys are actually listening. People other than the band are downloading this. We're getting feedback. All of it good right now. God help us. And, you've shown us that you actually care about what we're doing. And we, even, no offense, more importantly, we are caring about what we're doing. And we're enjoying this too. If we didn't like to do it, we wouldn't do it. Tommy would go back on his couch and watch reruns of MASH, for the next 3 months straight.
Or Golden Girls.
Or Golden Girls. But this has been a lot of fun. But we are going to change things up, aren't we, Lance?
We are. We're not exactly sure. There is no script for season 2, but we will probably depart from obviously what we're doing now of breaking down song by song, though it is a inspiration for season 3 if we all survive through everything. But season 2 might be more personal items or topical items or anything, and all of it is up for potential debate and topics. So we hope to expose some of our other sides of our colors that we each have and maybe bring in some special guests. But really, it's an unwritten script, so we're excited about that, but we know we want to keep doing this with you guys.
Well, I like how you've, completely spoiled season 3 already. That was nice.
Hey, it's only a dream.
So, yeah, season 3 will be a breakdown of the songs from album 2.
Apparently,
there you go.
Season
But we've
3.
already gotten that out there. So, surprise. But yeah, season 2, and I think it really comes from some of the discussions we had, like digging into lyrics and some of the more sensitive topics, and not everything will be sensitive or the big topic. But, the ability to not make it West of House centered and to instead deal with some of the things that everyone can relate to. I'm really interested to see where that goes and bringing in different people, to bolster that conversation. But sky's the limit. We talk about different things where, we'll have a what you drink in there because that's fun. And, maybe some other little portions. But the meat of that, we don't know yet what we're going to take on. We're going to be in those discussions soon. But it's important to have the conversation. And it's more important, though, is to have a conversation with different voices. If we had, a bunch of guys coming at you that all believed the same thing and all subscribed to the same thing and all said the same thing, it wouldn't be interesting at all. No one would want to listen to it. We'd be in our own echo chamber, and that's no fun, and it doesn't serve anyone's purpose. So I like that, we all come from different walks of life and we see things differently. And hopefully that comes out in the next season, as we discuss, not fight each other. This isn't going to be, Rush Limbaugh 2, because who needs that? That's not good for anyone. But it's hopefully us making each other better by throwing out ideas. And, by the end of an episode, maybe not agreeing, but, coming away more mature.
Though I'd love to see if we could fight each other. So we'll see.
My money's on Kevin. It's always the quiet one that's the most dangerous.
Definitely. Silent assassin Kevin. Yes.
So we've shared, a lot, and it's funny. This episode was originally supposed to be under an hour, but as you know, we have a thing with talking too much.
We fail
because
often.
We're comfortable with you. But the last thing that I want to hit on, which is an important one, and this came from Lance a few weeks ago when he said, "Why don't we do this for the last episode?" Which is, why do we do this? Obviously, we're not, a top tier, A-level famous band at all, or even B or C or D. That's not who we are. Will it be who we are? I don't know. But right now we're not. We're accomplished locally and we're spread out, and we all have had, a nice career in music thus far on our own terms, on a smaller level. But then why do we do this? So what do you guys think?
I just don't think that we cannot. I mentioned that at the beginning of the podcast, that before you called me the end of 2019, I hadn't played for a year, for 11, 13 months, something like that. I didn't pick up a stick. It wasn't like I don't play out. I haven't recorded. I didn't touch a stick for 13 months, and that was needed and necessary. But then again, so is playing. And I really enjoy recording, and I'm hoping to do some videos kind of getting in depth into the drum parts and maybe even writing out all the drum parts. So if somebody ever wants to play them, then they'll have it, because I'm kind of a teacher at heart when it comes to things like that. It's fun for me to come up with some new ideas to things that, Eric, you have played and have heard in your head 500 times to the 808, but I can bring a different style to it. I like that challenge, but I also just like coming up with something different and then hearing it and going, wow, that's really cool that we could all come together like that. So I think for me anyway, I do it because I can't not do it. I've been playing for over 40 years and it's just part of who I am. So, the fact that I am able to record in my house for free, essentially, is sweet. And that I have some great guys to play with who write awesome music is even better.
Well said. I mean, for me, I just like playing with friends, hanging out with friends, and having a few beers with friends. And when this started with Fallen, it's a no-brainer. COVID wasn't even in a reality. So just to hang out with friends and play some music and have a few beers. And that also then transformed into what our podcast is, which is still the same of what you're drinking and hanging out with friends and talking music. But also life in general. It's a way to connect with people, especially during these lockdown times where we are separated. And literally for some of us, from Utah to the state of Washington and California and Wyoming. It's been a kind of a cool experience, and it's nothing I could have ever imagined a year ago. So for me, I am just enjoying continuing doing this because it kind of takes us to places that I would have never expected. So for that, it's been a wonderful experience.
And my reasons, one, I agree with both of you. Those are my reasons too. The other one for me is this idea of legacy.
Amen.
In the past 2 years, I've lost way too many people that were close to me. My mother passed away, my brother passed away, and my brother-in-law recently passed away from COVID, and he was one of my best friends. And you learn very quickly about the fragility of life. And ironically, we talked about this in other episodes. Most of my songs deal with death in one way or another, just because I'm fascinated by the subject and what happens after death. But that became very real in the past 2 years, to where what I hadn't thought of before is my own death and what that means, and the imminent mortality of us all, because we don't know when our time is up. Some people, they get the gift almost of knowing, hey, you've got 6 weeks, or you got 2 years, or something like that. But the rest of us don't know. It could be tonight. This could be the last thing I ever say on a podcast, and that has really resonated, and I think in many ways is what has spurred on this creative onslaught that I'm on right now, in just throwing songs at these guys almost nonstop. It's like, and I'm not saying, I know my time is soon, so I better get these songs out. I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's the master plan on why I have all these songs, because my days are really numbered. I don't know. I hope not. Love to see my kids grow up. But this idea that after we're gone, what do we leave? Now, we have a legacy in our children. And the guys in the band are all blessed with kids, or with kids to come this year. And through our kids, we do live forever, through our kids and their kids. But creatives, artists, we have another way that is very special. And that is what we give to the world. And so even after I'm gone, it brings me great peace to know that my friends and family can go on Spotify and they can listen to songs that we created. They can open up Echoes Down the Road and they can hear my voice. Someone could be listening to what I'm saying right now after I've shuffled off this mortal coil. and they could hear dad or their husband or grandpa talk about, I'm not a grandpa yet, but one day
Hopefully.
they could hear, these discussions that we're having, and through that get to know me. And so in one way, this is self-serving, because even though we are not world famous or anything like that, it doesn't matter, because we're still putting this out there for those that love us and those who will love us in the future, and those who may be related to us that maybe we don't get to meet. And I think it's really cool that we have the ability to do that and to leave this part of ourselves for everyone in the future to listen to and to interact with. And through that, learn who we are, learn what we're about, what we believe, what type of men we were. Did we leave something lasting on this earth to make it better than it is? I hope so. So I think that's one of the blessings of making music. And even doing this podcast, I had this conversation with my wife tonight that, it's not about, how many people listen to it. It's the fact that it's now out there, and even for us, it's something for us to look back on in a couple of years and be like, oh yeah, we made this pretty kick-ass album that we really enjoyed, and whether the future holds, our tens of fans or hundreds of fans, exponentially growing into something huge, fine. Don't care. I'd love to, just because I want as many people to listen to our songs as possible, because I want to share those experiences with the world if I could. But it's not about money. We all have careers and we're doing fine. We have roofs over our heads. What else do we need in our wallet to make them fatter? That's a bunch of empty BS as it is. It's definitely not about fame. Fame is horrible. I would want no part of that, because all I've seen from fame is just sadness and brokenness that comes with chasing that. But if anything, the only reason I would want our music to get out there is just to bless other people, for them to have those experiences like Tommy alluded to early in the episode, to be laying in bed and going, oh, that's what Holy Ghosted means. That means far more to me than if we made, 10 grand from selling some song to a commercial. That's what it's about. So really, that affecting people's lives, becoming a part of who they are, and then leaving that legacy, for others. Because it's a trip. Someone is going to be listening to this one day after we're gone, guys. And they will be listening to our voices live, EQ'd wonderfully by Lance and Tommy. And I don't know why, but that kind of blows me away, because we get to leave that.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm not going to sleep for like 3 days thinking about all that. Thanks for that.
It's a good thing, though. Hey, I want to also throw out rest in peace, Pippa, your wonderful puppy dog.
I lost my dog too. And you know what? That one hurt. I love dogs. I love dogs sometimes more than people. And yeah, after those 3 losses, one thing, and I think we will in season 2, I think we're going to have an episode on grief, which is really important, especially with how men deal with grief, because some of those things aren't, widely accepted in our culture, which is BS, and we'll get into that. But we had a little dog named Pippa, and she kind of got me through those 3 huge losses. And then 2 weeks after we lost Brian, my brother-in-law, we had to put her down. She suffered numerous strokes and was paralyzed and had all these other issues from a terrible breeder who, if I ever see in public again, God help us all. But then when we lost her, I lost it. That was the final straw for me. I don't think I even went in the studio that day. I took maybe even a couple of days off. I texted you guys. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And
that's why the song is Kittens and Chainsaws, not Puppies and Chainsaws, because we are a fan of the dog.
But we're the huge fans of the dog in the band. If you have cats, well, it's okay. I mean, they may be, demons incarnate. I'm not sure. But yeah, we're dog people.
Definitely.
Not to alienate the cat people. Cats are cool too. I'm just allergic to them. So
We should do an episode about our awesome dogs.
Love it.
Maybe we'll have them on, Tommy, and you can, we can interview them.
That would be easy.
There you go.
Yes.
My dog doesn't bark, so it's going to be kind of lame.
And yet
Believe
your
it or
dog
not.
still speaks more than Kevin.
Amazing. But a true fact.
He definitely communicates better.
We love you, Kevin.
So
If you listen to this.
there we have it, people. Episode 12. This is it. This is season 1. I mean, thankfully we will be back, but we leave you with the commercials we always do.
Would you like me to take this, Eric?
Do you want to do it?
I'm going to take a swing at it, and then you
that would be great. Here we go. For the first time ever, Lance doing all the promos. Go for it.
That would be great. And
Both of you listeners, listen to this.
wow. And then Eric will wrap us up here. But yes, you can, which is not my specialty, but on social media, you can find us on many different platforms, from Spotify, Eric's favorite, Apple Music, my favorite. You can even support the band through Bandcamp, westofhouse.bandcamp.com, which supports us, but also gives you a digital album as well, but also the Three-Headed Monster. You got the Facebook, the Instagram, and the Twitter, all through the West of House band title. And of course, YouTube, which is where we'd love to swell and grow our presence so that you guys should all subscribe. And yes, Eric, that would allow us to have our own shorter version instead of a long satellite encrypted version of what our YouTube handle is. But it's still found through West of House Band. And I think I hit them all, did I not?
Well,
yeah, you missed one.
You missed one, but I didn't write it down. So,
well,
I was going to say,
what do you miss, Tom? Do you know?
yeah. Well, what I was going to tell the listeners is that you can find the West of House in all those locations. Who you can't find online is Lance.
That is true.
Because he isn't online.
For the most part.
He's that guy.
That is true. And I would also add, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find Echoes Down the Road. Well, if you're listening to it, you already know where to find it. But please subscribe and follow the podcast, because that lets us know that you are out there, that you hopefully like what we're doing, and it just gives us a little more impetus to do a little bit more.
And I would say, if you like the podcast, share it with your friend. And if you don't like the podcast, share it with an enemy.
It's true.
Right?
Either way, it's success.
Those are good words. In closing, thank you. It has been a wonderful first season. We've had a great time, and really, we're so indebted to you for listening to us. If you're listening in the future and we're dead, and now you're enjoying the legacy that we've left, we were fun guys. I mean, Tommy's a pain in the ass, but the rest of us,
Wow.
we're really enjoyable. So
I am so editing you out now.
you can't. We're dead. Now we're dead. We're coming from the future. Dead and
God's
buried.
edited you out
You will
now,
have
is what
died
you're
at least
saying.
5 years before me, because you're 86 years old.
Yeah,
And our
I'm
children
getting there.
and grandchildren are listening to this, and they're like, even beyond the grave, Eric and Tommy are fighting.
Too much tea.
Yeah. He's still firing him, and they've been dead 10 years.
Eternal firing. But thank you guys. It has been wonderful. And we will see you next time on season 2 of Echoes Down the Road.
Woo. Take care.
Do you think they're still there? Is Lance, are they there, or did they leave?
Is anybody listening?
Surely
Bueller?
they've left by they've
Bueller?
left by now. That they're not expecting anything after the song, right?
Wow.
What are you doing, Tommy?
Beavis Butthead? Really?
What?
Yes.
This is you're messing up our Easter egg. You have one job.
I don't even know what the hell you're doing.
Shut up, Tommy.
Yes.
Thanks. You
We
did
baited it.
perfectly. This is exactly what we wanted you to do, and you were wonderful.
We lured him out of the bushes.
We planned this out while you were changing your thing.
His diaper or his catheter?
I'm going to fire myself.
Oh, Lance, that worked out great.
Tommy's out.
The whole point was like to act like, if people were still there. And I told Lance, I go, we'll just wait for Tommy to say something dumb. And then I'm going to say, shut up, Tommy. And that's the end of season 1.
Classic ensnarement.
Ah, that was good.
We love you, Tommy.
Yeah,
But
it was
shut
wonderful.
up.